When the mainstream media hates someone, has them locked into their target, wants to take them down, they will do everything in their power to do so. And I believe that's exactly what's happening right now with Tony Robbins and the latest new videos from 30 years ago that are coming about him right now. Now, of course, there's a lot of salacious headlines. We're going to play the edited video just to be safe here. Of course, obviously, there's a lot of important context to bring up, and also a lot of disinformation, propaganda, and just emotional kind of information to try to stir you up for a specific outcome that is very clearly seen here, pushed by the mainstream media. But before we get into that, our friend Jeff Berwick, the Dollar Vigilante, has a new newsletter. And Jason, do you want to tell us more about this?
Yeah, Bitcoin up over $8,000 as of us recording this video. If you're getting into crypto, if you're getting back into crypto, if you've left your Bitcoin investment alone for a little while, and you want some advice, now's the time to go check out Jeff Berwick, aka the Dollar Vigilante, and his newsletter. He's not only going to give you information on Bitcoin, but a lot of the other cryptos out there, which ones to go for, which ones to maybe stay away from, and which ones possibly to hedge your bets against. So once again, if you're in that crypto community or you're thinking about dipping your toe in, go check out the Jeff Berwick newsletter. We're going to have the link in the description below.
Yeah. Now, Jason, moving on to the story, when you just type in Tony Robbins into any search engine, wow, the articles that you get, the accusations that you get, and again, these are all accusations, but there definitely seems to be an agenda to try to take this man down for some reason or another. We could speculate. We don't know the exact reasons. We don't know exactly what's happening behind the scenes, but it's pretty clear that there's a big agenda here. Tony Robbins, first article: 9 women have now accused self-help guru Tony Robbins of sexual misconduct, sexual advances. Video emerges of Tony Robinson using racial slurs. 4 more women accused Tony Robinson of sexual misconduct in BuzzFeed news or investigation. And of course, the headline today, the main headline is, of course, this new clip where Tony Robbins is using the N-word as he sings and dances on stage during a seminar in the 1980s. Now, a couple of important aspects to understand here. One, this was 30 years ago. He's not only just using the N-word, he's also saying other words like honky. And the context that he's bringing it up in is very important because this is an edited clip. This is a short clip out of a very long seminar that had a predominantly black audience participating at, and it was a specific course that he was doing 30 years ago meant to address racial bias and disparity. And of course, the conduct here needs to be put in the larger context here because it is not. And the mainstream media is just running with a lot of these headlines. And at first sight, yeah, it looks a little bad. But then when you kind of really look into it and see all the other details, there's a lot more to the story than a lot of these media headlines and that BuzzFeed lets on to. Jason, what do you think of that breakdown?
Well, first of all, let's talk about Tony Robbins himself, right? Tony Robbins is this guru that has been around for 30 plus years. And first it was, he was selling tapes late night. So you'd be watching television and you see this self-help commercial and you get these cassette tapes. And a lot of the stuff is actually derived from a guy named Richard Bandler and Neuro-Linguistics Programming, NLP. And NLP essentially teaches you not only how to influence people, but influence yourself, more importantly, to reach your goals. And a lot of these things are basics, Luke. A lot of self-help gurus have taken many of the things that Tony Robbins is teaching and kind of made their own.
Yeah, like an example that I personally use is like the Superman pose when you put your hand on your hips, you stand like Superman, and that kind of tricks your mind into thinking you're confident and other people see you as confident. That's an example of NLP. That's on a micro basis, but it gets far more advanced and far more sophisticated. Sorry, I just wanted to interject that important kind of example before we move on here. But keep going and let's introduce this clip.
Yeah, so here we are, and he's dressed ridiculously. At least he looks ridiculous in 2019. Don't get me wrong, folks. I'd say he looked ridiculous in 1980, whatever this was. But he's very energetic. He always has been. And we're going to play the controversial clip here. Oh, come on, Daily Mail.
If you could load it up there. But yeah, who wasn't? Wait, forward it a little bit there.
Hold on. Here we
Come
go.
on, Jason. Didn't have your coffee.
Oh, friggin' Daily Mail videos.
As long as somebody can do that, as long as somebody's called you get that kind of response I see in you right now, where you're ready to explode, then what you've done is given that person absolute control of you. You have no control in your life. You are still a slave.
Good.
That's an important point there. If you're letting someone else say a word and you get enraged for it, yes, he's not condoning. He's not saying it's okay to say that word. He's saying your reaction matters, and I think it does. And I think that's an important part of the dialogue that a lot of millennials should be understanding, that words only have power if you give them power. And if you give individuals to trigger you and anger you with just saying a simple word, you're giving your power away. That's an important context here that I think is bringing up that I don't think is wrong here. I don't think it's wrong to say that. Like, hey, just because some idiot thinks something about you, it doesn't make it true. That's something that I believe people should consider, especially in this outrage clickbait kind of culture that we're all living a part of online. What do you think, Jason?
No, absolutely. Again, he doesn't say it in a context where he is usually using it as something that is racial against a group of people. He's saying, why are you letting words charge you when they should have no power over you whatsoever?
I said, you are. Well, you're being enslaved by you and nothing else. And I said, I'd like to have you be free. Because I'm free and I'm white. So why don't you pretend that we're going to get you free right now? And I suggest here's the way to do it. Everyone stand up. And only a few people. I said, stand up. Come on, try something with me. Trust me just for a moment. Pretend I'm black.
Now, let me just stop it there. That was an example of NLP. You notice how he just said stand up and nobody did it. So then he literally moves his hand up as he says stand up, try it with me. He brings his hand into his chest. Basically, he's trying to use suggestion through his physical actions. And look, it works. People start standing up.
I get him to stand up, right? Now I'll stand up. I said, now you guys just do what I do just for a minute if you really want to be free and if you want to have some fun. So let's try this. I stood up and I said, okay, follow me. Do what I say what I say, move the way I move. I'm your to be. Ooh, be.
Again, it's important to that they clip this clip at this particular angle, because the next thing he says is, I'm a honky, you're a honky. Again, he's trying to desensitize the word so it doesn't have power over individuals. And I think, that's an important case to make here. Is it silly? Yes. Is it ridiculous? Yes. Is it unorthodox? Is it not socially acceptable? Sure, whatever. But again, I don't see any harm here. Context here matters. Just like George Carlin says, it doesn't matter what you say, it matters how you say it and what is the meaning behind a word. If you're trying to inflict pain and hurt people, yeah, that should be examined. That should be looked at critically. People should be criticized for doing so. But if you're just saying a word and you're not trying to hurt somebody, I don't understand the kind of association that they're trying to push here, because there clearly is not one here meant to hurt someone. It's meant to help someone in an unorthodox way, and it's a little weird, it's a little strange, but other than that, I don't see anything else here. Again, Robbins' lawyers claimed that this decade-old seminar video was meant to address racial bias and disparity. They talk about how the crowd was predominantly black. The attorneys, in a letter to BuzzFeed prior to the publication, reached out to them and said that this video specifically made to smear the self-help guru and his reputation, saying, quote, the excerpt of the video shows only a portion of the presentation and a parody and demonstration by Mr. Robbins how racial prejudice and disparity is sometimes perceived, manifest, and responded to, his attorney Brian Wolf said in the letter. By all accounts, the presentation was positive and accepted in the context in which it was conducted. And obviously, if he was doing something wrong where people saw and were part of something wrong, people would speak out against it, and there would be a bigger backlash then. A 30-year-old clip taken out of context? Come on now. Again, Tony Robbins is responding. He's denying also a lot of the sexual misconduct allegations against him. He's saying a lot of these reports are ridiculous. And then, I mean, just look at the headlines here. by BuzzFeed. Leaked records reveal Tony Robbins berated abuse victim and former followers accuse him of sexual advances. Sexual advances? Like, what do you mean by sexual advances? And when he's talking about the berated abuse victim, the person that he abused even came out and said it was tough love, and it actually helped her in her precarious situation. Sometimes people need tough love. Millennials don't like to hear that. The yuppies don't like to hear that. But sometimes, yes, you do need a little bit tough love in the face of reality and something unorthodox to help you get out of this victimhood mentality, which is perpetrated by media and protected by these articles by BuzzFeed decrying them. Sorry, that's my take on it. But with the accusations against him, Jason, I have not seen anything concrete. I've seen a lot of accusations. We have to understand accusations are politicized. They are weaponized. This is why we saw Jacob Wall try to bring up a fake Buttigieg sexual assault claim by trying to pay off victims. BuzzFeed is going around and saying, hey, you were a victim. He abused you. And a lot of the people are coming out and saying, no, he actually didn't. Do you see anything concrete here? Do you see any evidence against Robbins that is legitimate, Jason?
Well, again, I mean, I don't know what Tony Robbins is like behind the scenes. I don't know what his business dealings are like. But like you said, when somebody's emotionally upset about, one of his seminars, give me a break. I mean, that he's there to shock you. He's there to motivate you. He's there to move you. And I thought we would give Robbins the opportunity to kind of rebut some of these things. Like you said, one of these women who was like so emotionally disparaged actually did a video talking about how he did help. And Robbins is also claiming that some of his former assistants that were contacted were taken out of context. As far as the sexual assault allegations, there hasn't been anything really meaningful. There's been some talk of maybe some unwanted touching and some unwanted talking, but I haven't even seen any evidence
That's
of...
the NLP thing. Another NLP thing is to touch somebody to gain their trust as well. Sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. In fact, in previous videos, I've discussed how Keith Raniere of Nexium would use those same techniques on video with people. Like, NLP is a very real thing. So let's let Tony Robbins here explain a little bit of this.
Literally thousands of you were there, have reached out to us in social media and said I was there and it was beautiful, and it's not true. But more importantly, she made a video on her own and posted it, and I'm grateful to her to tell us what she told BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed came to her saying, he abused you. They had a 2-minute audio out of context, and she told him point blank, as she did in the video, told all of us that he didn't abuse me. It was tough love, and it may have been difficult, but it changed my life. She even wrote an entire book about how it changed her life so she could help other people with it. I mean, that's how extreme it is and how they completely misrepresented. I'm sure you'll see a series of videos of other people they misquoted, and there'll be one coming out, I think, today as well from one of the people that used to be one of my assistants that they completely misrepresented. She's mad as hell, and it's just not true. So if you look past the headlines and you dig underneath, you'll find where it is. And it's unfortunately we live in a world where people try to make money by trying to demonize somebody else or attack somebody else. And but it isn't just me. It's just this got to stop. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I know now that they're going to try and come out and say 4 or 5 more people that are upset with me for something I said or did in the 1980s or 90s when I was in my 20s or early 30s. I'm 59. So listen, I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be. I'm perfectly committed to growing and helping as many people as I possibly can. But I've never claimed to be perfect. And if there's anything I've ever said or ever done that sincerely, if it offended anybody, hurt anybody's feelings, or they felt anything of that nature, just didn't support you, I apologize. It's certainly not my intent. Anybody that knows me knows what my intent is. I'm still up here at 2 a.m.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, I think that's a pretty sincere and honest apology for something I don't know that he had to apologize for.
Yeah.
I think he's well to speak of the victimhood culture and how people are profiteering off or trying to take somebody else down. Listen, if it's warranted, sure. I mean, if you have somebody like Bryan Singer in Hollywood abusing his position to assault kids, or a Kevin Spacey out there, those type of allegations, we should go after that person. But like you said, from what I've seen, even the accusations that they've tried to dig up aren't really worth much.
Yeah, I mean, convince us if we're wrong. If we're missing something, let us know in the comment section below. But other than that, I'm not really seeing much here, and there does deserve to be a kind of larger kind of conversations, like why is BuzzFeed and all these other mainstream media outlets trying to take him down? Like, What's the bigger agenda here that makes you really consider and wonder? Because they have a record of this. They have a record of trying to go after people like PewDiePie and Joe Rogan, because a lot of times they're just jealous of their success. And a lot of times the big mainstream media outlets are like, how come we're not getting those numbers? And they try to take down their competition in very unethical ways. This has been happening for a very long time, and they hire researchers to literally sit down and watch every little moment, every little thing about them. And I'll bet your bottom dollar that's exactly what BuzzFeed is doing right now.